Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Roya, and I'm your resident Mojo nerd. Welcome to Mojo Talks. This is my third episode, and as you can tell, I've made some changes. I had a full Britney Spears moment and shaved all of my head off, my hair off.
You shaved your head.
Yeah. How's your head?
Fine. I get that reference now. I just started watching that show.
You've just started watching Drag Race?
Yeah, and that season specifically, I just ended because that was Miss Fame, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought that was in like every gay's handbook.
No,
you must.
I was not a Drag Race fan. I'll tell you the story. It's really funny. I'll let you finish your intro.
Well, let me introduce you first.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen him yet, this is Matthew Gordon. He is taking over TikTok and Instagram. I'm a little too old for TikTok, so I found him on Instagram.
You're never too old for TikTok. Don't say that, because I think we're the same age.
I am 37. How old are you?
I'm
what?
I'm 27.
Okay. I think I have a couple of years ahead of you.
Got it.
Funny story, before COVID started, I was at a bar and this little kid came up to me and was like flirting with me. And I'm like, oh, this is cute. And then he's like, what's your TikTok? And I'm like, you are too old for me and could probably get me in jail. You're too young, sorry. I'm like,
yeah.
You're too young for me. How old are you? And he's like, I'm 19. I'm like, you need to go home.
Yeah. That's far too, that's a child.
Yeah. In Canada, they let you drink at 19. So,
well, as they should.
Yeah. So how did you decide to become like, what was your thought process? I was like, all right, I'm going to be famous and I'm going to use TikTok. Was it the pandemic? Was it planned?
It's so funny. I was just interviewed for like a political podcast, which is insane because I know nothing about politics. But he also said the same thing. He was like, you're famous. I don't feel famous at all. And it's just a lot of these, numbers or whatever are sort of not meaningless. They're not at all. But they're just sort of vanity, I guess, metrics. But yeah, so the reason why I decided to sort of go hard on social media, it was all sort of this plan. Before July of 2000, actually really August of 2020, I had no social media presence whatsoever. I had been working on cruise ships for the past like 7 years. And I was like, you know what, it's time to change. I'd like to start working, on land.
What were you doing on cruise ships?
I was singing and dancing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, let me get into let me get into show business, like on land. I'm ready for that chapter of my life. And, I lived in LA for 7 years and I started to sense the changes in the wind about how things were being cast. And it all had to do with your social media following and your presence and your engagement and all that. And I had nothing.
So you're basically Ariel,
like the mermaid?
Yeah, you're like from the sea to the land using your voice.
That's exactly right. Yes, that's exactly who I am.
I can be Ursula.
I kind of want to be Ursula. Can I be Ursula, please? The drag queen octopus.
We may have to fight Melissa McCarthy for that role.
Okay.
That's super interesting. So the industry has shifted to not only do you have to have the talent, but you need to have something to market with.
Absolutely. So what's sort of going on, and it makes sense. It's more, if you're in a room, in an audition, and it's down to you and someone who has the same look, the same caliber of talent. You're essentially performer equals, but he has 1,000 followers and I have 23,000 followers. That's a built-in fan base that the casting director, the producers or whatever don't have to work at getting. You know what I'm saying? So they have to work a little less. So it's as awful and vain and shallow as that sounds, it's starting to become, I don't want to say the way of the future because that makes it sound really dire. But yeah, it's even starting to happen with Broadway casting stuff. Like especially in England, if you've got like a large social media following, or if you've been on a reality television show, you're pretty much guaranteed to be a lead on the West End.
Yeah, I'm in marketing and PR for my better bread and butter, so I get it. Like the world is changing to metrics and data driven. So having the talent isn't enough. And I think the pandemic has shown that there are a lot of talented people. So it's your ability to draw a crowd that's really making the difference.
Well, I've actually noticed in the pandemic, you know, everyone is sort of so thirsty to, you know, express themselves because they've had the time to sort of marinate on their own thoughts. And they're starting to discover, oh, well, I'm actually really creative. You know, I'm not just an accountant. I'm also, you know, a great cross stitcher. You know, I'm not just a construction worker. I'm actually a great stand-up comic. You know what I mean? And I love that because I have so many friends who are, you know, quote unquote, like, you know, normal people who don't have really any interest in being in the entertainment industry and now have this great outlet to express their creativity.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think the technological divide is decreasing, and the experience and expertise that you need to do the things that I see that a lot of people on the internet are doing has changed. Like I get my news from a guy called Cameron Henderson, who's also very much like you. And he does this program called Get Ready News. And it's so funny, but it's actual news. Like he's pulling news headlines 5 a.m. every morning, 7 a.m. the news report is up. And I get up and I watch it because I connect it more than I would to a traditional newscaster. Much in the same way that I was attracted to your Instagram, because I didn't know that you were a singer and dance on a cruise ship, because you position yourself as like, maybe I can dance, maybe I can sing, and you're a professional. And so it's in that comedy that I find very, very attractive.
I find actually that it's funny because the majority of my life, I've just been a singer. You know, I went to acting school and I love acting. I do. And people have always said that I could spin a joke here and there. But really, honestly, the only reason I don't upload more dancing and singing videos is because those take a lot of work. And, you know, like I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and that takes time to rehearse. I have to warm up and, you know, all these things. And, you know, doing little sketches, these little thoughts that enter my head, it's just so much easier. And, you know, usually I can use a green screen or whatever, and it doesn't require a mic. And my bedroom is rather small, so it's not like I have a lot of room to dance.
I mean, you live in New York, so right? Do you have one of those bedroom kitchen situations?
No. Actually, if I were to show like a real tour of my bedroom, it's much bigger than most. I was very, very lucky. So I actually moved to New York at the height of the pandemic, July 1st. So going back to what I said earlier, that was kind of my goal. I'd been doing cruise ships for like 6 or 7 years. And I thought, okay, I've saved all this money. Let me just take like 9 months to a year off and just focus on like, what do I want to do? What do I want to accomplish? And how can I do that? And so I thought, all right, well, let me start practicing my singing. I've let that slide a little bit, my technique. Let me start practicing my dancing. You know, it's not that I would never say that I'm an amazing dancer, but my problem is I get self-conscious about following the choreography. And so to help that, you literally just have to dance constantly. And then I thought, well, I also need to build up my social media. So why not kill, you know, 3 or 4 birds with one stone and just post all those things on a social media platform. So what you're seeing is essentially me just practicing.
You're killing it, because it's resonating with sketch comedy, something that came naturally to you. Is that something that you had to build?
Well, I had never done anything sketch related. So what you're seeing, what those little videos you're seeing, and I encourage anyone who may be listening to this, one of the things that I have learned through doing all this, if you ever have a creative thought in your brain or some sort of situation that you think is funny or a joke or whatever, and then you just throw it away, you know, like everybody does, write it down. Any stupid thought that I think may be funny or creative or whatever, I put it in a list. And it's, I think, 600 dots deep now. And I think, but like 1 out of 5 may be a good idea. And then sometimes I'll see it like a bad idea and I'm like, how can I spin this into something good? And it's not like I'm just, brimming with ideas, but, a really good creative exercise is to like, okay, how this idea seems a little cringy or whatever. How can I make it good? And some of the things that I thought would never resonate with anyone have just blown up. And some of the things that I thought would be, oh, this is going to blow up. Nothing, crickets. But it's all, it's all a part of the thing. And really, I truly, this sounds so fake and phony and like interviewee, but I never thought that it would blow up as much as it did. And I wouldn't even say I've blown up. It's just I've seen a much bigger rise. I even had like a goal. I was like, you know what? From August to 2020 to August 2021, I'd love to hit 10,000 followers. That would be great. And now I'm at 23.
Yeah. What has your response been like? How has the fandom been?
Oh my God. There's so, a lot of people, I hear a lot of like people getting hate and whatnot. I've been so lucky, knock on wood. Everyone is so supportive, and the occasional snarky comment I'll always pin because I just think they're so funny. Like when I get a bad comment or whatever, to me that's like, and again, if anyone is a creator or anything, if you ever post anything on social media or whatever, and someone has something bad to say about it, you have to think, this person is so angry that you are living your best life. That
In
they
their minds.
exactly that they, that like, you post a video or whatever that you're really proud of, and they give you this, snarky comment or whatever, and you just have to think, they're so jealous that you're doing what you want to do and that you just don't care, that they had to write a comment. They literally expended energy to write a comment underneath your video, improving your engagement, by the way, just to say something mean. They're so jealous of you living your best life and so pathetic in their own that they actually have to write something bad. That's why I love mean comments.
That's such a positive thing to take away from this, and taking away the power of the bully.
Exactly. And then, also God bless my followers, because they will attack anyone. And sometimes I'm like, well, guys, relax. Don't go that hard. But yeah, so to answer your question, sorry, I turn every question into a 10-minute monologue. My followers are fantastic, and I talk to them every day. I answer every single one of my DMs. It takes a minute, usually will take an hour or two, but I try to answer. I used to try to answer every comment, but I can't do that anymore. But every DM, if you want to send me a DM, say hello. That's great. Please don't send me dick pics. I'm not interested. No offense. It may be a beautiful dick, but I don't want to see it.
And consent is important. You need to ask people before you send
and
your
so
genitalia
I get
to them.
that's another thing. I get so many things. If anyone is listening, if any of my followers, I love all of you. I really truly do. I will ask you.
There you go.
If I'm interested.
Hot take on Mojo Talks is Matthew Gordon will ask for your dick pic.
Exactly. And believe me, I will. If I want it, I'll ask. Or anything. If I want to ask you out, I will do it.
I think that's wild. I'm in no way famous, but I've gone through a weight loss transformation, and I've posted pictures, and I've gotten some things in my DMs, and I've been like, well, this is very forward, so I can't even imagine.
Well, I'm okay with forward. My brand is sort of, it says it in my bio, boy next door with a wild side. And that really is truly who I am. I am a goofball with a libido the size of Texas. Like, that's just how I am. So that comes, I'm a goofy little sex pot. Occasional flirtatious stuff does not bother me because that's just who I am.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from Augusta, Georgia.
Ah, okay, cool. So do you know Tamisha and Matt?
Yeah, we are best friends, even though she lives in Atlanta, which is 2 hours away from Augusta.
I have no sense of American geography. I'm from the Caribbean.
Right.
So please.
Oh, what part of the Caribbean?
I'm from Trinidad.
I don't think I've ever been to Trinidad, even though we've sailed around it like a million times.
We will have to take you there because you can practice your dancing. It's definitely a part of our genetics. We have one of the biggest carnivals in the world. So you grow up learning how to dance from like as soon as you can walk for the rest of your life.
Well, I'm not much of a having fun dance. I need a 5, 6, 7, 8.
We can change that. I'm very sure that we can change that. With enough rum, everyone is a dancer.
They think they're a dancer. They think they are a dancer.
Yeah, once you have a little rhythm to you, we can make it work. I've seen some things and some improvements. I'm sure we can make it work.
Okay.
What do you think was your favorite sketch to produce so far? Do you have a favorite that was just like super fun?
Some have become my favorite just like based on how well they've done. So I did one that, again, a lot of the times it's just these things that I'm like, oh God, this will never do anything. And then they kind of blow up. I just did one where I love horror movies and I love horror shorts and things like that. And I've noticed a lot of like cliches that started off as great ideas that are now just overdone. And one of them is the waking up in bed, and you're like, so this is, stop me if you've heard this before. You feel like a caress on your arm and you're like, oh, my boyfriend.
Is that the one with Satan?
Yes. So
that's one of my favorites.
But this is like, but then it's like, oh, my boyfriend's in the bathroom. Who's in my bed? You know what I mean? And it's just overdone. And I thought like, what if you, what if you're just so lonely that you're like, oh, hi,
It reminded me of the personification of that meme. Have you seen that meme where they're like, if you sleep with your legs off the bed, the devil will eat them?
Oh yes, and he puts his little butt out. Yeah, it's so funny, and it's a little cartoon.
Yeah, and I was
like, this cute little butt. Yeah.
It's good.
So one of these things is great. Like, I find that like when I just think something is genuinely funny, I'll sort of pick it apart once it does well. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that did subvert expectations. And then I guess it did funny, and then I'm like, how, then I start asking myself, how many jokes, how many quips can I fit into 30 seconds? Cause that's all, Instagram will allow. But then if I overthink it, then it just it's not funny.
Yeah. That was actually the one that I saw in my feeds that I followed you from because I thought it was really funny. And then I stuck around because it's, we're in a data oversaturation because of COVID.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I found that your style was very irreverent, very slapdash. And and you felt normal. You felt approachable. And that's a big compliment, I think, in this world to be able to connect with your audience like that.
Well, so what's happening with TikTok now is I saw this great, I haven't really scrolled through TikTok in days. But I saw this great TikTok where this woman was like, this style of Instagram where you're showing, what people believe is your best life. I love my job. I love my travel, and here's my body, and here's my perfect boyfriend, and everything is perfect. And I can make food. What's great about TikTok is it's just people living their lives. The way she said it, it celebrates the banal. Come with me while I go to Walmart, and and it's sort of like, yeah, this is just what I do with my friends, or this is what I do on my own. And I think what sort of is resonating with people on Instagram is that the charm of these videos and these reels that people are making is that they aren't done with this, huge budget, and they're sort of done. And like, so I've got it down to a very like precise science now. It takes me half an hour to write and plan, half an hour to film, and 45 minutes to edit.
Right.
So that's what, an hour? No, two. Oh God, what's math? That's
I don't math.
It's an hour and 45 minutes. So whatever you see, I guarantee it didn't take me long. Maybe the editing sometimes if there's like green screen involved, But yeah, most of the time, because I'm lazy, I don't want to spend a lot of time doing all that. But yeah, I think that's what's kind of appealing to a lot of people, is that it's just people, regular people living their lives. I happen to be a crazy, beautiful supermodel, but I'm just like a regular guy, just like you.
Well, how tall are you?
Just kidding. No,
How tall are you?
I'm only 5'9". A lot of people seem to think that I'm really tall.
I thought you were tall. I thought you were tall.
I'm not at all.
So fun fact, I actually produced Caribbean's Next Top Model, and I've worked with Miss Trinidad and Tobago. So
wow.
These days, height doesn't make that big of a difference. If you do want an agent, just holler at me and I will connect you with someone. You can't do it.
I know, I would love to. The only thing is just like, I loathe going to the gym. So that's and I'm trying to get better at it, because
you have what it takes. Like it's muscles don't really help you in modeling. Right. Definition does. And I think you have one of those natural metabolisms that I hate people for, because if I smell a cupcake, I'll put on 10 pounds. But enjoy that until you get to your 30s.
It's not that I have, everyone is always like, oh, Matthew can eat anything and he has a fast metabolism. I fidget, like that's just who I am. I've been diagnosed with ADHD, and I'm constantly literally bouncing around all the time. So I think I actually just, I'm burning calories just from the sheer neuroticism of my body. I can never relax. And I'm telling you, it just melts the calories. Constant stress.
What's been working for me is my trainer had me walking, not running up and down 19 flights of stairs.
Right.
3 times a day. That's been helping. That's what I have to do.
Okay. That sounds awful.
I just graduated to being able to ride a bike. So baby steps.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So right. I can ride a bike. Send me your ways.
You look great now, but I have no idea. You said you went through a transformation, but you look fat. I haven't seen you before, but you look amazing now.
I used to be 300 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been a total life change. I became diabetic because of it, and my doctor was just like, you're going to get a heart attack before you're 40, so please take care of your body. And I opted to do it the healthy way. So I learned how to eat and balance that out. So it's a trick. It's diets I find don't really work.
They don't.
You have to, so you know what you put in your body, and what you put in, you have to work out.
Exactly. It's calories in, calories out. Yes.
Yeah. Every cupcake is like 20 more minutes and an extra flight of stairs.
That's what I've been saying. I've got a lot of friends who are just very, very into fad diets, and, I'm doing the keto thing and yada, yada. And I've lost 50 pounds. And I'm like, yeah, that's because you're not eating pasta. Like, you're not eating abundant amounts of food. You're restricting your calories. Has nothing to do with the keto.
And what happens, and this is where it fails, and I only learned this because of working with a dietitian, when you starve your body of carbs, the minute you eat a carb, it's like, I'm not going to get this again, and it converts it to fat. So you're actually doing yourself an injustice rather than learning how to eat. So like I've gotten to a balance where, all right, today's the day I'm going to eat unhealthy, and tomorrow I have to spend 2 hours in the gym.
Well, I also think like people need to, I don't know how we got on the subject, but it's fascinating.
Yeah.
I think like that
this is what happens when real people talk.
Yes. I think like when, what I've started to notice is that I will sort of, and I think you probably feel this way too, you'll just sort of subconsciously be like, eat unhealthy and healthy, a good mix. Because eating too healthy, where you're just like, I want boiled chicken and boiled broccoli, you don't want all that. You know what I mean?
Again, being from the Caribbean, my ancestors would curse me.
Exactly.
I'm not about that ancestral cursing.
Yeah. So, but I think, you start to sort of intuitively be like, your body craves good things, and then it'll occasionally crave bad things. And I think that that's the balance that you find. And bad is a word that I use loosely. And no food is bad or good.
You just need to know your body and how to make it work for you.
I don't know how we got on. Again, I don't know how we got on the subject, but I love it.
But on the subject, tell me more about Le Petit Parisien.
Le Petit Parisien. Okay, so
est-ce que tu parles français aussi?
I'm sorry.
Est-ce que tu parles français aussi?
No.
Because that also killed me because I speak French. And when you did it, I was just like,
Oh, you saw that video. Oh,
I loved it because a part of being francophone is people think that you're super judgmental, but it's really
Right.
very funny, and your
Yes.
execution was really funny. And I'm like, the good part is he actually has the accent good, so it doesn't matter that he doesn't know what he's saying.
Right.
And I loved
Yes.
it.
So my there's this the bakery that I work at, the cafe that I work at, is maybe a 7-minute walk from my house, and I just found it when I first moved here, and I love little cute little places like that, and it was just a part of my like New York adventure. And anyway, I became a regular there. I so much so that I would walk in and they would just make my food. And the owner is shockingly a Greek guy. But he was like, "Hey, I loved your video that you did where you featured us, and we have people come in and they say that we've seen it. Would you make an ad for us?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And this was maybe, I mean, I just posted it, what, a month, 2 months ago. And at that time, I was starting to really stress myself out because I was running out of money, and I was like, I need to find a job. And he was like, "Let me pay you," and I was like, "Actually, are you hiring?" And I worked in restaurants before. I've been a barista before. I'm an actor. But yeah, so now I work there, and it's not I wouldn't say it's an easy job. It's rather busy, but I love it. I love my coworkers. I love my boss. They know that I'm not going to be, you know, working there forever. But it's good money, and I get to meet a bunch of people, and I could turn this job into a sitcom. The people that work there are just such characters. And I love them. I love each and every one of them. I love it. I love working there.
Well, my advice to you is, as someone who has produced TV and given what you do on Instagram, just write an episode on a pilot and film it yourself
Yeah.
and start pitching it, because I think you're onto something. I think you have the right skills, the right attitude, and the right intuition. A lot of this is intuition and gut. And I want to watch, like you're telling me about it, and I want to know about the mishmash of people working in a Parisian styled bistro.
Well, let me tell you about it. We had our cast of characters is pre-written, my friend. So there's me, obviously, this the gay cliche struggling actor. Then we have oh god, I hope they never see this.
We could use names to fake names.
So then we have another an 18-year-old who works at this cafe, who just comes in stoned out of his gourd, and
we'll call him Jean-Luc.
Jean-Luc.
Like a Jean-Luc.
He comes in and he's just really friendly. He doesn't really have anything together. He just got a really big tattoo on his chest, and it hurts. And then we have Sarah, the girl who's just like born and raised in New York, but she's got Swedish parents, and she knows all this stuff, and she's in her 40s, and she was living in New York in the 80s and the 90s, and she was like, "Oh my, you would love it in the 90s. You would have made it in the 90s." And she's like, "Yeah, I got to go to the dentist because 3 years ago someone hit me in the face with a bat." And then there is Stephanie, who is Malagasy. She's from Madagascar, and she's French. She because she speaks French, and the French are very to the point, and do this and do that. But she's great. I love her. She's the heart of the restaurant. I love Stephanie because when we're not working, she's great. But then when we are working, there's no time to fool around.
She did not come to play with you guys.
She didn't. And then there's Sakis. Sakis, the owner, he is Greek, and I live in New York, and everything is so expensive, and you are wasting my money. But I love him. I love Sakis. Sakis is great.
He sounds like my grandmother.
Oh yes, Sakis is amazing. He gave me a job, which is great.
Yeah, I know New York very well. My aunt lives in Queens, and I spent a lot of my childhood there. And then I worked for the UN as an advisor for many years. So New York is like my playground. So I immediately picture every single person you just described. My partner, we would watch TVs TV shows about New York, and I would be like, "Oh, that person's from Brooklyn." We were playing Spider-Man actually,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, that person's from Brooklyn," and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's a Brooklyn accent," and he
Yeah.
Googled the
Oh,
actor,
yeah.
and they're from Brooklyn. I'm like, "Oh yeah, you get to know like Long Island, Brooklyn, Queens."
Well, what I like about I'm starting to get more into like the idea of filmmaking, and I've YouTube has started to slowly aggregate videos about like film criticism and what makes a script bad, what makes a script good, and I've been listening to the Office Ladies podcast, and what I love about they'll sort of go through like a synopsis, and you don't realize it when you're watching these sitcoms about like everyday life and mise en scène. Like there will be plots of The Office when you break it down. It's like um, the office crew go to get pies.
Yeah.
That's the plot. It's not like they're saving the world, but you're so invested. You're like, oh God, I hope they get these pies. And that's if I were to write a pilot, it would be like Matthew goes into work one day and it's just everything goes wrong. That's the plot. Exactly, and that's the plot of the show. And it doesn't. What I love is that if the writing is strong enough and you care about the characters enough, even the most mundane things, it's like you really root for them. It could be someone. It could be someone who is literally risking their life, like an American spy who's watching this show and he's like, God, I really hope Jim and Pam get together.
Yes, agreed. And that's what makes good content, just on a whole, relatable. So, Matthew, why don't you tell the people where to find you while you become on your journey to an actor?
Well, I have, thank God, I've stuck with the same username for literally everything my entire life. Matt Actor Gordon. 2 T's. I'm not something that you step on. It's MATTACTORGORDON. Gordon, like the race car driver.
In my head, it was like the police commissioner from Batman.
Yes, or that. Yes, or yeah. You have to remember, I'm from the South, and we NASCAR is an actual sport to us.
Yes.
But yeah, so Instagram or TikTok. Please don't find me on Facebook. I think I'm retiring Facebook. I am not active on Twitter at all. In fact, I think I just deleted Twitter. So just Instagram, YouTube. YouTube I'm on, but not really. So Instagram and TikTok.
Thank you so much for being a part of Mojo Talks. You're one of the things that I look forward to on social media. To the noise. So just hats off to what you've been able to build. And it's been so fascinating hearing your journey and having some tips for young creators. I think is so important.
Well, I hope I mean, my problem is that I tend to, just because I have ADHD, I tend to ping pong around conversations. So I hope I got to some point during this interview, but I hope I didn't.
You hit all of the points.
Oh, great. Oh, great. Oh, thank God.
Have a structure. The more real it is, the better, and the more that it will appeal.
Yeah. If I can give anyone advice moving to New York, save up at least $13,000. And New York is just another place that people live. Don't let it intimidate you. There's so many people who are like, New York is expensive and I could never live there and it's a war zone. No. It is literally just a place where people have decided to build buildings and live in them. That is all. Don't let it scare you.
I would add to that what you think is New York is only on TV. Like the real New York has so much more soul.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you can catch Matthew online. You can holler at him at his
my cafe. Yes.
Yes, Le Petit Patisien. Do not send him dick pics unless he asks you. And that's been Mojo Talks.
Yes. Oh, this has been so great. Let's please keep in touch.
Yes, and I'm going to get you that Slatey. So the guys who own Mojo also own Slateys.
Great.
And we will get you one of those Freddy Krueger tees.
Awesome. Wait, is the claw, was that the picture that I saw, there was like a claw. Is that on the shirt?
Yes.
It looks like a real claw. I thought, I thought he was wearing like a
prosthesis.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I think it's I forget what they call the type of print, but yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, super excited.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. And at some point we should sing together because I'm a baritone.
Oh, great. I'm a bass.
Really?
No.
I was just so
Listen
confused.
to me. I sound like a woman.
I'm like, what?
No. I'm a high tenor. I wish I could sing bass, but no.
Yes, I'm in that awkward in between that doesn't get much fun parts.
Baritenor. Oh, well, oh my God. Don't get me started on vocal technique. Oh, we could talk for days.
So the next time you see us, we're going to sing. We should do A Whole New World, but I have to be Jasmine.
Natch.
And I think we can, I'll wear drag for that.
I think that's great.
So this has been Mojo Talks with Matthew Gordon. You can find him online. We're going to put the info on the bottom. It's somewhere here. It's there. The internet people do that later. I don't know how to edit. But yeah, thank you for joining us, and I will see you guys in a week.
Okay, great. It's so great to meet you and talk to you. I hope we stay in touch.
Yes, thank you. Help. It's my second day.
Do I look okay? Sorry. Do I look acceptable?
I'm like the worst gay to ask that.
Come to my cafe and visit me. That would be like the coolest thing.